Klappt mit dem Mikro? Prima. Also hallo, vielen Dank für die Einladung. Ich bin Sönke Iversen vom Handelsblatt und leite da das Ressort investigative Recherche. Und hier neben mir sitzt Lukasz Krupski, der Held des Abends oder des Nachmittags. Und weil Lukasz Pole ist und aus Norwegen, also in Norwegen für Tesla gearbeitet hat, switchen wir jetzt einfach um auf Englisch. Ich hoffe, das ist für alle in Ordnung. Die Slides sind noch in Deutsch. Und ja. So, welcome, Lukasz. Thank you for coming here. Let's start. We can say that Lukasz is fresh of a legal win, a legal victory against Tesla. Slide. Then. Yeah, this explains. This is an article that appeared some days ago, 10 days ago maybe. Lukasz has been in a legal battle against Tesla, the most valuable car company in the world, for more than a year now. And just a few days ago, a court in, where was it?
In Drammen, Norway.
In Drammen, decided that he has the right to keep whistleblowing. So Tesla always wanted to stop him from that. And Lukasz always said, no, this is important. This is very important information for anybody who's driving a Tesla. Actually, anybody who's crossing the street at any time, at any place, because if you're seeing a Tesla at that time, some bad things might happen. Okay. So this is some of the articles we've done. We've been on this subject since November 2022, and these are some of the biggest articles we've done. We see the original one, the Tesla files, then one about the Cybertruck, all the problems. This came out way before the Cybertruck came out. So, but we had confidential information, which I'll come to. So. That was from the beginning. It was our goal to not just have one story in the first one was in May 23, but to continue publishing about the Tesla files, which we'll come to. It's about 100 gigabyte of data with all kinds of information from inside the company, but also to keep reporting about all the problems and what's going on at Tesla today. So, like I said, we started in November 22. I got a call from a colleague of mine in Japan, Tokyo of all places, because he had gotten a call from Lukasz and told me this guy that I didn't know your name, he didn't know your name, was sitting on a huge pot of gold concerning Tesla, and he said, Tesla is not handling its data. Anybody from anywhere in the world at Tesla can access any data. And we're talking about social security numbers of people, work phone numbers, private addresses, salary information, reason of firing. So was it for medical issues or for disciplinary issues? So all the kind of information that should be very, very highly guarded in any company was just open. So I didn't believe him at first because it was just too good to be true. So I called my team. We sat together and we said, this can't really be happening. Why should it's not keine Beleidigung, no insult to say that you were working on the lowest level possible at Tesla, taking care of cars when they needed repair. So no manager, no access.
I was a service technician, so I could have access to technical issues, but not sensitive information as for HR and accounting, medical information, insurance.
Yeah. But to give you an idea of what it's like when you get that kind of geschenkte symbols, just something falling in your lap, I'll just briefly go over here and show you one of the files that he sent to me on a special messaging system that was double guarded. This is a file called headcount master. Doesn't show. Okay. Ja, also vielleicht lassen wir es dann. Ich will jetzt keine. Also Headcount Master ist eine Excel-Datei und also dann müssen wir wieder zurück zum oder wo sind wir jetzt? Da wahrscheinlich. Ihr kennt ja alle Excel. Everybody knows Excel. This file had rows and rows of tables, maybe 50 Spalten, and more than 100,000 lines, Zeilen. So if you, with every name of every employee worldwide, his salary, his boss, his social security number, everything. Address. Some medical information even, who he was reporting to. So an absolute treasure trove. And when you press page down, you can keep your finger on page down, and it just scrolls down, and you can do this for maybe a minute. More maybe several minutes. So you see all the information scrolling by. So I went to my boss, and my boss told me, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. And, well, to make a long story short, after a few weeks, I convinced him that I could visit you in Norway, in Drammen. And then you showed me some of the files. And the moment for me, that was like a star going up. First he started, well, it was like you open the not intranet, but the processing, the team management software, Jira it's called. Maybe a lot of people here will know Jira. Jira is used by, I think, 12,000 companies worldwide or so. And it was just like Googling. So first we Googled the information that you had already sent me. And then I said, okay, let's Google something else. Let's Google fraud. Let's Google Musk. And then I said, why not? Let's Google Staatsanwaltschaft. See what happens. And maybe 25 or so files come up. And I think the third one from the top was a letter from the Staatsanwaltschaft Wien. I said, what? And it was in the Betreffzeile, it was about Masalek, Jan Masalek from Wirecard. And I said, please open this one. What is that? Why is that in the Tesla files? It turned out Tesla got a request from the police in Vienna because they were investigating the Flucht of Jan Masalek, and because an Austrian politician had used the Tesla to drive Masalek to the airport, the police in Vienna wanted to have the Bewegungsdaten, because they wanted to know where was this car at what point in time. So, and because I thought, do you know anything about Masalek? And he just briefly knew, barely knew, and I could see it wasn't, I could not imagine a scenario where this was fake. Because from weeks and weeks and weeks, we were always worried, are we in a deep fake here? So, but why would somebody come up with this idea of faking Jan Masalek? It's too crazy. But we had I could show you if it worked. I have the file. It's 8 pages, and so I reported back home that evening, and my team was just, oh, this is crazy. We are going to have so much fun. So the next morning we started copying. He asked me, do you have a USB stick or a floppy drive? And of course, I came prepared. And maybe next slide now. Yeah, so we tried to go to LinkedIn and check cross-check the information on LinkedIn with this Excel file we had. Then we went to the Fraunhofer Institute and asked them, can you please check on this? And they did, and they didn't find anything wrong with the data. And then we started, this was in March 2023, we started calling around 200 customers. There were also customer information. So you have to imagine, this is anything you search brought something up. So you search for bills, for tax information. We had the address of one of Elon Musk's former wives.
Yep.
We had the information who was on his security detail, who were his bodyguards.
Yeah, the schedule even, where he was traveling between his companies.
His schedule. So everything was just open, completely open. And so we started, and that's maybe a result, something to look at when you start asking people, please, I know you're working in this company, can you tell me something about it? Most people just turn you away. But we were able to say, listen, we know you work at Tesla, you've been working there for, say, 17 months. Your work ID is such and such, and last year you made $50,627.12. Would you have a talk with us? And so that made people be interested, and some talked to us. Some then called their superiors, and that's when the internal we now know, we didn't know then, that's when the internal investigation against Lukasz started, because Tesla was then saying, what's going on? They started their own security search, and because of information we got later through court filings, we can exactly say who it was, that it was former CIA and former FBI agents who were on his case, like 4 or 5 people who were investigating. So after we were sure that we really had this, and maybe I should say, it's 2 levels. It's why is Tesla? It's criminal to handle data in a company like this. There's laws how you handle data, Datenschutzrichtlinien, and you can be fined with 4% of your revenues. With Tesla is making 18 billion or so, so you can count 4%. That could be the fine for mishandling data. But also, we had, I would say, even more important information about, say, the autopilot, because this autopilot thing is what Mr. Musk has always claimed is the biggest thing in the world, and is going to make all our lives easier and safer. And we had thousands and thousands of customer complaints about the autopilot. We had internal communications between workers concerning the autopilot, how shitty it was, and how this is not working, how that is not working. And we could then make a timeline and set next to these complaints, we could say, okay, this is what Musk said on that day. The day that 125 complaints of customers who said, I almost killed myself today, or my Tesla almost killed me. That's a direct quote. My car almost killed myself today. And Musk is tweeting, this is the greatest thing ever. So we, when we were sure that we were ready to print, we sent maybe 60, 70 questions to Tesla and gave them 2 weeks' time. And on the last day of the Frist, we didn't know what to expect, but we know, and all of you know, that if you are a journalist and you ask Tesla or SpaceX or Twitter anything, all you get back is a poop emoji. But we got no poop emoji. We got a fax from Tesla's lawyers saying, please, we know that you illegally got this information from a disgruntled employee. So that's the standard term. Any company that has a problem with somebody who whistleblows, it's always a disgruntled employee. And you cannot use this data. Please delete this data. Have a nice day. And then we thought, okay, what are we doing now? Do we have to answer them? And we talked to our lawyer, who was on this story basically from the very start, maybe the November, late November, definitely. And he said, no, that's fine. We'll just print. So we printed. It's a huge spread. And at that time, of course, because Lukasz Krupski was afraid of anything Tesla might do to him, we didn't name any names. And next one. We had that was a crazy weekend, the next weekend, because we got calls from the US, and the Wired magazine called us because they had read there was one line about the Cybertruck, that we had a confidential paper, a confidential report about the Cybertruck and all its problems, and they wanted to look at that, and so it was just a very dizzy time at that part, and we were, as soon as we had published the first one, we were getting ready to do the next one. And one of our lawyers, actually, and that's why no one should be afraid to talk to their legal department when you're in his research. Our lawyer had this idea to put up a website and say, give the opportunity for people to find out if they're in the Tesla files. The thing is, it was forbidden for us to tell anybody anything about the files, but it was okay to just tell the people, if you want to know if you're in the Tesla files, here you can check it. So we know that thousands and thousands of people did this, and maybe 1,000 wrote to us, maybe 1,500, I'm not sure. And 98% or so said, what the fuck are you doing? Delete my data. But the 1-2% said, I'd like to talk to you. And we got more information, more sources that way, that we were able to develop. And then Lukasz, one thing I should also mention, that 4 days after we published, Lukasz' home was raided. The police turned up at 7 o'clock in the morning at his house. And from then, the legal battle started. They took all his electronics, all his phone, computers, and such.
The copies of all my devices were taken and secured by the court.
So that's when this legal battle started that he has just had a win in a few days ago. But to fight a fight as a whistleblower, you have to have the court accept that you are a whistleblower. And so Lukasz' lawyer said, this is the time when you should come out. It's better if the world and the court know your story before Tesla is painting your story, telling your story, because that's not the story you want out there. So we did another huge story with basically your life from birth to today. No, we talked to your father and to former employers and everything. So I do admit there were some tense times, because if you're asking somebody every little single detail about his life, there's times when there are unhappy questions, I would say. There's some things that you might not want to think about, might not want to recall. Everybody here has a life, and you don't want every life detail to be talked about, asked about by a reporter from a different country, or any reporter maybe. So, but we wrote that, and also at that time, the Norwegian media got in on it, because they had a name, they had a hero, a whistleblower, in their own country, with Tesla, the world's biggest company, or biggest car company at least. And the New York Times also did, their article was called "Man versus Musk." So we were cooperating at that time a little bit with the New York Times, and the Norwegians. And this, because I want to not I want to leave enough room for questions. This is something funny to end it. This came out last week, 10 days ago maybe. I told you that since we started this, we have developed many, Vincent's in the back there is one of them who has also developed many sources inside Tesla. Because we know so much, people don't talk to you if you don't know anything about any topic. But if you do...
And I would say it's all about trust, and something you didn't mention, it was mutual. I needed to know I can trust you. I initially approached you, and my main concern were data breaches, the exposure for 100,000 employees, because these people could end up with terrible bank scores. Fake accounts can be started with this data. And then over time, we build that trust.
So because we have this trust with a number of Tesla employees now, in last month there was a Betriebsversammlung at Tesla, and somebody gave us an audio Mitschnitt. And so they were talking, they had trouble between the Betriebsrat and the IG Metall, and they were unhappy. There was warring back and forth and insults and everything. Basically, the Betriebsrat said IG Metall is only keeping us from working. And when the Werksleiter, Mr. Tierik, started taking the mic, he didn't talk about all the problems that were there at Tesla, but he said, I have to say something here. You are stealing too many mugs, coffee mugs, Kaffeetassen. They have ordered 65,000 Kaffeetassen since they started the production in Grünheide, in the German factory. And he said, that's a direct quote, statistisch gesehen hat jeder von euch schon 5 Kaffeetassen zu Hause. And to show how media works, say, this insider story there was some coverage, but much more echo was received by this Kaffeetassen thing. I can send you this. This is Spiegel, T-Online, MSN, Focus natürlich, English, also Spanisch, Französisch. Everybody's interested in the coffee mugs. Every journalist, apparently, because that's what they think the world needs to know about Tesla. Yeah, and then...
And I think also there was a story about cutlery, not only mugs, that they're not going to have any cutlery.
Yeah, because the Werksleiter said, and because you're stealing all these mugs, he didn't use the word steal, but there will no cutlery, kein Besteck wird ausgelegt in den Teeküchen und so weiter. Because if we do that, you're gonna just take that too. And finally, this is also the one and the only reaction from Musk directly. After this story, he tweeted, we were mugged, which is, English, wir sind beraubt worden, ausgeraubt worden. But I just wanted to leave that out there because it maybe shows a little bit about our media world and the reality we all work in. And this is some promotion if you're interested in stories about Tesla, stories about Gröner, and stories about Adler and many other, Ergo. We have a podcast every 2 weeks that we do at Handelsblatt. And so I think now is the best time for opening the floor for questions for Lukasz or me. Ja, dachte ich, dass das, weil er ist ja eigentlich. So, who would like to know something about Lukasz or?
How did you decide whom to give the files?
So let's put it this way. I approached different outlets, and as I mentioned, building trust is quite a difficult thing, and you try to judge who is gonna do it properly in a safe manner. And I believe that Handelsblatt was the right choice. I received some recommendation, and after connecting with Sonke, because as I mentioned, initially I just wanted to bring up the GDPR issues, which were reported to authorities in various countries. And then when we met physically in Drammen, I decided, okay, I will share more information in regards also, which were reported to SEC, Security Exchange Commission, and NHTSA, about autopilot, about safety issues connected with suspension, and generally that this doesn't feel well what's happening at Tesla, and we are all at risk because we're using public roads. Luckily, we don't have FSD here in Europe yet, but what's happening in the US, it's quite scary. And if I can help, that would be great. Yeah.
Maybe we can, using a lot of abbreviations, GDPR, that's Datenschutzrichtlinien problems, and FS, the other thing was autopilot. And we have to, I mean, we can be honest here. We weren't the first that you came to. Handelsblatt wasn't your first thought. He asked other journalists in other countries. Handelsblatt was just the first paper willing to put together a team of 12 journalists and let them work for half a year on this one story. Because it's a lot of work to get through 100 gigabyte. And so we were lucky. I mean, you were a little bit desperate, I guess, also. At that, I mean, you go from one, and you're always worried, am I going to be detected? What if somebody knows somebody who talks to? And so we were just happy that we could connect.
I mean, I was expecting that it will be sooner or later revealed who secured the information, because in modern systems you can just check logs. But at the time when I was doing it, I decided if I file the SEC reports and NHTSA, okay, they will go after me, but I did it in good faith for prosperity of the company and society. So even that happens, that's all right. But if I can keep it to minimum, it's better for the public. Yeah.
I would like to ask, do you have a theory about why Tesla treated all this data so cautiously? Because obviously it would have been in their own interest not to make all this data available to all the employees. I mean, was that just a silly mistake, or?
I could talk about it for quite a while. There is this culture in the company, fear culture, retaliation against whistleblowers. Even if you bring something in good faith, you might suddenly experience warnings, retaliation, negative performance reviews. So in my feeling, is it done consciously or not, but in this organization, if you try to do something good for the company, you're being let go. And so who remains, that's a lesson for them to keep their mouths shut. And then you don't have a chance to grow, you don't have a chance to learn, even if you're aware of something. And we see that how they handle data, we see that in the quality of the cars, especially the ones coming from America. Yeah, it's a consequence of fear culture, retaliation. Yeah, I think that's the main point.
Maybe we should add this, because we haven't talked about this yet. You were not, there was a reason why you came to Tesla, because you loved Tesla, and you thought Elon Musk was the greatest guy. Well,
not exactly Elon Musk, but I was interested with electric cars since about 2007, but since Tesla was the leading car company in this area, that was my first choice. Elon Musk, his performance, he's an entertainer. What he does is just attracting maybe investors and customers. He did some weird stuff, but my focus was on the work, and and contributing to the company.
Yeah. So you started in 2018 to work there, and you had been there for less than half a year when something really extraordinary happened. There was an auto show in Lillestrøm, and on one side of the big hall there were people looking at Teslas, and on the other side there were people, you and other service technicians working on cars, and some idiot had played around with the booster to make the car load faster, and the car caught fire. And you were a few feet away, and instead of running away from the fire, you ran to the fire, you jumped to the fire and put your hand into the fire, grabbed the booster, pulled it out and threw it on the floor. And so you burned your hand, and there was no damage, so the car show could go on. Nobody noticed anything, but he was the absolute hero that day. In fact, his boss wrote to Elon Musk then that we have a
country manager.
The country manager, the boss in Norway, wrote to Elon Musk, we have this hero here. Maybe we want to tell him a few good words. And then actually, because that's how Elon Musk is, and I don't think that would happen in many other companies, Lukasz got an email directly from Elon Musk saying, you're the hero of the day, great job. And you were too polite to say, yeah, maybe we can talk about some other positions from here. So you said, no, I just did my job. And now something really, really interesting happens. Musk says, so if there's anything else we can do better, let me know. And well, Musk isn't American, but it's an American thing that just is, they don't mean that. But Lukasz took this literally, and he said, oh, thanks for asking, because actually we don't have enough fire extinguishers here. The way the cars are placed when they are welded, the Funken können überspringen von einem Auto aufs andere. This is not working, that is not working. And the next thing you got was an email from your superior, not from Elon Musk. Are you crazy? What are you doing? And then after a couple more exchanges, Elon Musk writes, so I can't be bothered with everything.
It's like no vital information. That's
I can only deal with vital information. And Lukasz was saying, vital information is if the cars are fucked up.
And
That's pretty vital for a car company.
And there were 14 to 17,000 people in Lillestrøm in that motor show. It could be terrible for the PR of the company if evacuation, building on fire.
And this is 2018. This is not the super big Tesla that it is now. It might
Tesla
have destroyed the company, this whole thing. So I think 2 weeks later or so, after this exchange with the CEO, the world CEO, Lukasz' computer starts running slow. And so he presses Alt Control and Fan and checks what is running in the background. And there's spyware on his computer, on his laptop. So because Lukasz was airing problems, the company said, well, we really have to watch over this one. The company that produces this, what is it, Code 42, I think?
Code 42.
Code 42. If you look at the description of the software Code 42, it's for problem workers.
Actually, I found it in the accounting. In the accounting later on, which I shouldn't have access to, the people who are paying bills for that, they say, yeah, do we use it for internal investigations for troubled employees?
And Tesla was using how many thousands of these licenses?
I can't remember because it depends what time we talk about over the years. Yeah.
But thousands and thousands. So Tesla is concerning is having spyware on thousands of employees' work PCs or laptops or whatever they use. Yeah, so that's the kind of background you have. I think da ist schon jemand.
Talking about Elon Musk personally, I was just checking the media echo about the guy. Vanity Fair calls him batshit crazy. New Yorker says how Elon Musk went from superhero to supervillain. What was it like to work for a guy like that?
So I tell you something. Another thing, I was afraid to come out as a whistleblower back in, let's say, 2021, because the public image of Mr. Musk was that he's a genius, he's committed to saving the light of consciousness, and so on, and others. But now it's different. He just showed his true colors, and I believe it started when he started dumping the stock. He sold more stock than Tesla ever made profit. That was end of 2021, and that's exactly where I started securing the information for NHTSA and SEC. And then he took over Twitter. A lot of, it looks like he's his worst enemy. He showed his true colors, and now it's different. I just try not to pay attention because it's just so toxic, and I don't really have power to make any difference. And yeah, I believe it's up to media and the public to decide how to proceed, and obviously there may be Department of Justice, regulators, but it's concerning what's happening with Tesla and other ventures Mr. Musk is involved.
Hi. Thanks for your very interesting insights. I have two questions, if I may. One is, do you know anything about what the publication cost and if Tesla changed anything following up to this? And if so, do you think they kind of learned something? Or is it just because there's like legal pressure now as well, I'm guessing? And the second question is, you kind of talked about that already a little bit just now. I mean, Tesla is obviously like very ruthless towards its employees, towards its customers, but at the same time, I mean, they undoubtedly have caused like major changes in the car market, and they have made electric mobility a lot more popular. And so I would like to know, do you think like Tesla is kind of over? Do you think it's like all kind of a big scam now and it's all going to collapse because Elon Musk is going crazy? Or do you think there's still something to be won by Tesla in a positive way? Thank you.
Thank you. Interesting questions. So my heart was always with Tesla, and I believe that internal changes are needed to make the company prosper. I mean, the company was successful specifically because there was a lot of hardworking people who believed in the, let's call it a mission to, promote and produce green cars. But let's put it this way, the fish rots from the head, and we see that company's management is hurting interests of Tesla. But again, that's decision up to investors, customers, and employees, and we see it's already happening. There are multiple investors suing the company. The sales are going down, and I don't see any changes. Even the cars are getting quite old. We have some facelift of Model 3 recently, but that didn't help much. And also the liabilities created over the years, even there will be major change in the management, let's put it this way. I'm worried that the liabilities generated by the FSD lies and pumping the stock. I'm afraid that many people will decide they don't want to be associated with the company anymore. They don't want to drive these cars. We see how California sales went down since Mr. Musk's actions. I mean, he's aligning politically towards one direction. Yeah, I don't think he should do that.
Maybe I can add something about this question. Can they learn? And it really doesn't seem like they can. Like I said earlier, we started talking to employees in February 23. We asked, we have your data, so and some of them, a lot of them, went up to their superiors and said, why are these journalists having our data? But the only focus was to find the guy who copied the data. There was no change in Jira, this project management system. Even when Handelsblatt sends 60, 70 questions to Musk or to his department, actually there's no, and it doesn't. And the law is everywhere the same. When you know about a data breach, you have 2 weeks, I think.
I think 72 hours. But
true, 72 hours to inform the authorities. Then you have to tell them, okay, we have a breach. This is how we're doing. This is how we're handling it. This is the person who's handling it. And please, let's communicate in the next months, usually. So they didn't do this in February, March, April, May. When our article came out, they started, I think 2 days before our article came out, they informed the Dutch authorities because, the Grünheide, the Brandenburg authorities, because the Werk is in Grünheide, and we are a German paper. But it took them till August to inform their own workers that there's a problem. And then they said, we're going to give each of you this anti-spy software or something like that, that if you are, because the thing is, especially in the US, if somebody knows your social security number and your name and address, he can just rob you blind, basically. For a hacker, this social security number is the gold standard for hackers. And so it took them half a year to inform their own workers, and there's no reason at all why this should happen.
I just wanted to add, because I didn't answer your first question about the changes. So we had some positive changes because, Sonke mentioned and that few current employees of Tesla did try to check access the Jira sensitive tickets with HR spreadsheets, and they are no longer accessible. I think it's the same for the accounting. You cannot access thousands of bills generated every day from every possible company and supplier, including legal companies. So those are positive outcomes. And I just wanted to say that in 2018, someone informed Tesla about the exposure, the sensitive tickets in Jira. And I discovered that 3 years later, and it was still there. So maybe it was necessary to go to media and authorities with that.
Maybe this is like a good entry for my question. Whether it was like publicly known within Tesla that all these data are quite easily accessible, or whether it was like coincidence that you discovered that, and also the range of data which you could access. I mean, that it's not only like some data, but like this scale.
So let me put it this way. When I try to fix things internally and address them with Tesla, and I already have spoken with multiple HR partners, management on various levels, and compliance, and I was experiencing higher levels of retaliation to the point that they alleged that I tried to run over an employee with the car, and I asked to go to police with that and check the CCTV footage, and they didn't do that. I decided that this is something really bad happening, and I started paying attention to what Tesla critics are writing around the world on Twitter and on the media outlets in the US. And I decided I will secure the information, or just check regards to FSD, because that's the biggest risk. And I might be fraud. I mean, it's probably fraud. And that's when I discovered going through the ERP system in Enterprise Resource Planning System. Just to mention, Tesla has weirdly their in-house Enterprise Resource Planning System called WARP, instead of like in industry standard is SAP. And they had access to accounting and Jira tickets. Regarding the data, personal data, that was also accidentally. I just put keyword Musk or Elon in the Jira, and Mr. Musk, according to one of the employees, requested all the terminations data for certain time range, and there was attached headcount termination master something. So I said, is it one time? I just put headcount keyword, and another 15 or 20 tickets like that came up with more sensitive information, including share grants, addresses, email, phone numbers, and so on, social security numbers, passport numbers, ID numbers. Yeah, so it was quite accidentally. I remember that it was like, wow, what am I saying? Is this real? And what am I supposed to do with that? And am I the only one? Can I also go with this to other employees? Because what if this word spreads out and it needs to be contained? People who know about it should be kept really narrow. Yeah, so I hope that answers the question.
About this data, it's, I don't know if you remember, one time somebody was writing about or displaying the airline routes of Elon Musk's ticket, and he sued him. So, and we, of course, we also went to Jira, the company that is, or to, what's the company's name?
Atlassian.
Atlassian, yeah. To ask why does your program, your software have this huge security problem? And they told us, no. Jira is specifically programmed for that only, say, one employee here and another one there and one there can work on this project, which makes a lot of sense. We've thought about this for many months now, and the only thing that we can explain is this attitude: work fast and break things. That it's much easier. It saves time if every file is just accessible by everyone. That's the only explanation we have. But on the other hand, the legal problems that could come after this, and I mean. How lucky is Tesla that you didn't go to Volkswagen or Toyota or somebody else?
Or you can sell it in dark web, as I think you did the research about it, that you can sell it for like millions.
Just the addresses and social security numbers are worth millions. But imagine getting the new, and we have this, the new battery design of Tesla, which is the most advanced battery designer, well, one of the. But if you're Volkswagen and you're looking at, okay, Tesla is doing this with the batteries and that with the Model Y and this, that's information that you can't buy. Yep. And there's a reason why you can't buy it. But yeah, it's just breathtaking, and it shows a recklessness. But we have seen this recklessness all through with anything he handles. This autopilot that he just announces, it's done, it's real, this can work. And then he makes fake videos about self-driving vehicles. And only 5 years later, it comes out in a court case. Yeah, well, actually, that wasn't self-driving. That was just fake. But each time he says, it's working now, the stock price goes up 1-2%, and with Tesla stock price 1-2%, that's several $100 million each time. So if you're the SEC, the Börsenaufsicht, you also have something to think about. Is this guy really, is he defrauding everybody? I mean, not to mention Wirecard, but a lot of people trusted Wirecard to be the best company in the world. And then it turned out to be, no, that's not what I'm saying, of course, but there should be some level of truth in the public statements of one of the most powerful CEOs in the world, just like there should be with a president, or maybe soon to be president again. But they're just Doesn't seem to be.
I believe that just culture of accountability and responsibility of everyone's for their actions, that would help greatly in the company.
All right. So weit, so good.
Thank you.
Thanks.